So for the new members, welcome. For this week and next week, we're doing hashtags. And for the members that have already done hashtags, we're redoing hashtags because I personally need a bit of accountability and motivation to do more hashtag groups every now and again, and to do a bit of an audit on the groups that I'm using, because it can be easy to, I guess, get into a bit of a hashtag rut. Does anyone else have a hashtag rut where you know that you need to do more hashtags, but you're like, hashtags? So we're all in the same boat, guys. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Emma. Hi again. So, despite what you may read or what you may see, hashtags are still really the fastest way to increase your engagement and reach on Instagram. And they are a really good way to connect you with true followers that are actually interested in purchasing your stuff, because there is a difference between using hashtags to get likes and using hashtags to actually find customers and real people who are going to eventually turn into paying customers. So that's what the next 2 weeks of lessons are about. Hi, Belinda. Welcome. So for new members, make sure you've downloaded the results tracker. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when this webinar finishes, go to the announcements post in the Facebook group, and there's group rules, and at the very bottom there is a results tracker. So what you can do with that doesn't matter when you start. You don't have to start it at the start of the month. It's just week by week. You're just filling in your results, and it shows you exactly what results that you need as well and how to find them. And we are hoping, fingers crossed, that the numbers go up. You find it a chore? Yeah, I know. Feels, Megan. Feels. Hi, Vanessa. Welcome. So, let's look at these impressive hashtag facts. Hashtags are the fastest free way for Instagram users that don't already follow you to see your content. Hashtags can be searched on Instagram to find who and what you are looking for, just like you'd search keywords in Google. And essentially, you're using hashtags to improve the SEO, search engine optimization, of your Instagram posts. So that is the point of hashtags, for anyone that didn't know that already. Now, let's have a look at how many you can use. So in your Instagram stories, you can use 11 in each story. In your posts on your feed, you can use 30 in each post. Now, why should you use this many? This is my best example. So let's say a major TV network came to you and they said that they were going to offer you a 30-second free TV commercial in a primetime TV show. And you went back and you had to think about this. You're like, that sounds like a really good opportunity. Yep, 30 seconds, cool. Yep, it's all free, awesome. And you went back to the television show, the television station, and you said, you know what, thank you for the fantastic opportunity, but I'm just going to take a 10-second TV commercial. Now, you wouldn't really do that. You would take the full 30 seconds because it's going to give you more opportunity for exposure for your brand and for your products or services. So my reasoning is that if you only use a couple of hashtags on your post, you're taking the 10-second commercial instead of the free 30-second commercial. All right. And using the statistics, posts with just one hashtag get an average of 12.6% more engagement than posts without. So that's potentially 378% more engagement on your posts that use all 30 hashtags. Okay, so if you don't use all 30, you really are missing these opportunities. And why wouldn't you use all the free opportunities that you've got as a business owner to increase your reach and exposure? That's my reasoning on it. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Talita. Debbie. So we should be doing mainly Perth hashtags, seeing as this is where we are based. If you are location based and businesses cannot shop for your product or service online, then definitely use your location hashtags. Great question, Debbie. Yeah, absolutely. So, what's our hashtag selection criteria? So what we want to do is when we're deciding what hashtags to use on your posts, rather than focusing on what's necessarily always in the image itself, we want to think about your business offering as a whole, because that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see businesses make is they'll put up a picture and they'll hashtag things that are in the picture, but that doesn't have anything to do with their business. you're driving. Oh my God, Vanessa, be careful. Eyes on the road, Rhonda. So I have come up with 3 questions that's really going to help you select your hashtags to ensure that you're always being strategic, okay, rather than just hashtags to get likes. So question number 1, who are you trying to attract? If hashtags are there to attract people to your business that don't already follow you, who are these people you're trying to attract? Question number 2 is what have you got to offer? And question number 3 is what are you trying to sell? So if our consumers and customers are using hashtags as a way to search for products or services in Instagram, then these are the hashtags that we need to be using on our content so we can be found when they are searching for those products or services. Okay? Hi Brooke, with hashtags on stories, is there a way they are hidden or just on the story itself? So there's some sneaky things that you can do on the story. Pinch them. You can make them really small, drag them to a corner and then hide them behind text or a sticker. And that way people won't see the hashtags that you've used. Sneaky, sneaky. Belinda, maybe I'm technically challenged, but I can only seem to put one hashtag on an Instagram story. You are not technically challenged at all. So instead of using the hashtag sticker feature in Instagram stories, write them out or copy and paste them as text in Instagram stories, because if you use the hashtag sticker, then you will only be able to enter one hashtag. But if you write them out as text, you can add up to 11. So there's a sneaky insider tip for you guys. Debbie, other question. When you put in your first 30 hashtags into comments, is it a good idea later to delete those original hashtags? All right. So this is the thing. Absolutely, you can do that, but hashtags are time stamped. So if you put one set of 30, then go back and delete them and put another set of 30, the original set will be completely gone. So you won't it doesn't mean you'll get double the hashtags. It is definitely a strategy. I know that I think Kerwin Ray, he teaches doing that. So it's definitely an option if you've got the extra time to do that. But just remember that the second group of hashtags that you use, it won't get bumped to the top of the search results for that hashtag. Your content will get put in the search results based on the original time of the post. But great question, Debbie, and definitely something that you can try if you've got that extra bit of time. Okay, so given the 3 questions that I sent to you in this week's lesson, if you have no idea where to begin selecting hashtags, use those 3 questions. So who are you trying to attract? What have you got to offer? What are you trying to sell? And just make bullet points underneath those, because if you could get to 10 bullet points for each of those, that's your first group of 30 hashtags and you're being strategic. Okay, so it's a really good place to start. Also, if you're looking for hashtags to use and you're not sure whether it's appropriate or not, come back to those 3 questions. If the hashtag that you're thinking of using falls under at least one of those 3 questions, then you're being strategic. If not, then you're just hashtagging for likes, not hashtagging for customers. Okay. What else have I got in here? So how to use hashtags to target customers. Try and use 2 to 3 worded hashtags instead of 1 worded hashtags, because this will be niching down to your target market more. So I've given you the example. Let's say I'm trying to target mums in Perth. So rather than using the hashtag mum and the hashtag Perth, I'd combine the 2 and use hashtag Perth mum and hashtag mum Perth. And something to note as well, if you have multiple worded hashtags, you don't need to leave a space in between. It's just all one big long word. I've also added that adding the letter S to the end of a hashtag creates a completely new hashtag. So following on from the example above, you could also use Perth mums and mums of Perth. So that's 4 hashtags already instead of just using Perth and instead of just using mum. That's going to get you more targeted than just those words alone. Questions. With Instagram stories, can you save a set of tags to add to these stories without adding individually each time? Yeah, absolutely. So you've got a couple of options. If you are saving your hashtags into your notes, which I would recommend using, then copy and paste 11 instead of all 30 because 30 won't work. Or alternatively, you could make a whole new note that was just for Instagram stories that only has 11 hashtags in each group. There's another option. Diana, would you only put hashtags in stories that are of your products and not on the personal behind the scenes stories? Not necessarily, because remember again, it's making them aware of your brand and drawing them to your brand. So remember that people connect with personal stuff as well. So you want to bring them into your brand, make them aware of who you are. Maybe you've got a couple of stories, not just your product or service, but it's about brand awareness and discoverability, really. So again, use every option available to you for free to increase your brand awareness all the time, because why not? All right, so now I've given you tips and tricks for your hashtags. Is my screen? I think it's moving a little bit. Looks like I'm on a slant. Okay, now this is a really, really key point. To avoid being marked as spam by Instagram, it's super important that you have multiple groups of 30. You cannot just come up with one group of 30 hashtags and use them every single time you post. Please do not do that because you are at risk of being banned by Instagram, and we don't want that. So start with at least 3 groups of 30. This really depends on how much you post. If you're posting multiple times a day, you want multiple groups of 30. If you're posting, say, 4 to 5 times a week, then let's start with 3 groups of 30. Really, the more groups that you have, the better, because it's constantly increasing your brand awareness to a new audience. But let's not overwhelm you if you're just new to this. Let's start with 3. If you're not new to this, then what I would recommend is every month you create a new hashtag group. Don't get rid of the old ones, just keep building onto them. So I have like 50 hashtag groups and I just keep rotating through them. Okay, so don't delete the old ones. So I've said start with 3 groups of 30. Ew, it just spat, Where's? And then take 10 from each one of those groups, and that can be your 4th group. And then you've got 4 groups without even thinking about it. Save your hashtags into your notes app on your phone, then copy and paste them onto your post so you're not left trying to come up with hashtags each time you post. So I would recommend making some time to actually sit down. Hang on, did my interwebs just go off? No. Am I still on? There we are. Okay, sorry, I don't know what just happened to my interwebs, guys. So what I recommend would be, Brooke, I struggled to understand the difference between hashtags of what I'm trying to sell and what I've got to offer. It felt similar to me, like they would both be around. Oh, okay, that's a really good question, Sam. So for you, because I've seen what you do, I would recommend doing hashtags that were like skincare tips. That's what you've got to offer, whereas the product is organic moisturizer, for example. So like for me as well, then I would have, let's say, Instagram tips, social media tips, Facebook tips, marketing tips, but then my product is social media workshops, Instagram workshops, etc., etc. I hope that makes sense. I'm having issues with the video dropping in and out, so missing lots of content. Okay, no problem, guys. I don't want to disconnect it in case it stops, but it is recording. So after I finish this and I post it in the group, then the whole video will come up. I promise you, because it's still recording. Sorry. All right. So what else have I got in here? If you don't have Notes app on your phone, then try using basically whatever you've got in your phone where you would write like a shopping list or a Christmas list or a list for Santa. So I think in iPhone it's Notes, in Samsung I think it's Memo app, and then for other phones, whatever you would use to write a list. And then what I also do sometimes is I copy and paste those into a Facebook Messenger message to myself, because then I can never accidentally delete that from my phone. I always have that backup because I'm like OCD and I like to have backup of everything. Megan, great tips. I need to spend more time on these. Must go. Have a great weekend. You too. Bye. Houston, we have a technical problem. I love it. We do. The interwebs, technicalities. What was I saying? Yes. So Facebook Messenger to yourself, your hashtag groups. I personally like to write mine on Microsoft Word. So I type them all up and then I use the number feature to see if I'm up to 30 or not. So I quickly highlight them, select the number feature, then I turn it off, obviously. And then I send my hashtags to myself in a Facebook Messenger message, and then I copy and paste them into the notes app on my phone. So I'm a little bit OCD, but that's how I do it. I find trying to do it on the phone when you're using Instagram as well to try and search, it's just a little bit easier to type them on the computer and then have your phone to be able to search them. Okay. So, to make your post look cleaner, post your hashtags as the first comment rather than the caption. It's a question that I get asked all the time. What's the difference between putting them in your caption or in your comments? There isn't a difference. They work exactly the same on each. It's purely an aesthetic thing. So it looks a little bit cleaner to put them in the comments instead of in the caption. And then the other question that I get all the time is, what is the deal with the bullet points? Why do you put the bullet points? What difference does it make? When you use the bullet points before your hashtags, it truncates the caption so your users don't see all of the hashtags straight away. They would have to open up, not the caption, the comment. They would have to open up the comment to see all of your hashtags. And hashtags are sort of like that drawer that you have in your office full of stuff that you need for your business, but you don't really want your customers to see it. So it's sort of just a little glitch within Instagram that allows you to hide those. It has to be bullet points. It has to be 5. If you don't use bullet points, it won't work. If you use 4 or if you use 6, it won't work. It has to be bullet points. It has to be 5. So I've written them out in the lesson. Just copy and paste from the lesson and then put your hashtags underneath. So that's it, guys. This week was a big one. I know, but there's just so much to teach about hashtags. So the biggest key takeaway for this week is hashtags help organize and categorize Instagram content. This makes it easier for relevant content to be found when searching. So when your ideal client is searching for what you offer, if you use the right hashtags, they will be able to find your content and therefore your business. Okay? So that is this week's lesson. You know that you have access to next week's lesson. So if you're already like, what's next? You know it's there. I'm going to leave this webinar up until what's the date today? Okay, so this webinar is going to stay up until December 26th. So I'll do next week's webinar on next week's lesson, which is the 19th. And then both of these webinars will stay up until the 26th. So you've essentially got 2 weeks right up until the day after Christmas to complete your hashtags, because I really want you to do them. They're really important. You'll really notice a difference on your impressions and your reach and your engagement as well when you start using them. And I want you to get them right, okay? Then on the 26th, well, actually, the night before Christmas, you'll be getting your January content plans. So that's all very exciting. So for new members, every single month you get 2 content plans for the next month and the 5 types of content that you need to post and 3 examples of each. So you have heaps and heaps of content ideas all the time flowing through. And then on the 31st, so I'm just looking at my calendar, on the 31st of December, I will be sending you an Instagram audit. So you can audit your own accounts and work out the areas next year that you want to really focus on with Instagram. And I would I think that you should start doing this now, is start thinking about what your social media goals are for 2019. So my Instagram goal is to get more views on my Instagram stories. So over the next month, I'm doing lots and lots and lots of research and testing and trialing different things on Instagram stories, because in January, what I want to do is obviously present to you guys all of those findings and tips and tricks and things that you can do to get the most possible views on stories, because I personally think that stories is where it's at in 2019. That's what I want to focus on. So I want to test and trial as much as I can and do as much research as I can over the next 4 weeks to see what does get you the most exposure on stories, and then I'll be passing all that information on to you. So stick around for that, because that will be happening in January. So sorry about the technical difficulties in this week's lesson, but it was recording, so when I finish the live and post it in the group, I promise the whole thing will be there. Thanks for joining. I hope you're liking the hashtags lesson. I hope that you do it. Please do it, because I promise it gets you really good results. You notice such a big difference when you get more strategic with your hashtags. And I'm excited for the weeks to come. So thanks for joining me for today's lesson. Hope everyone's having a great week. I hope you're not too stressed in the lead up to Christmas. I know it's a bit of a hectic time. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Look, Robert following me around the world. Like, could Robert just have stayed in Australia? That would be good. Thanks, Brooke. My first full live and I've learned heaps. Yay! Emma, lots of great tips. Yay! I'm excited. I'm always excited. Thanks for joining me, guys. Have a wonderful week. Do your hashtags. Remember, you've got until the 26th to do both lessons. I'm excited. Have a great day, and I'll see you this time next week. Bye, everyone.